Okay, shall we do some stuff?
We should do some stuff.
How did we sound?
Sound all right.
Hey, welcome to episode 120 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Saveun
Yo.
and Blake.
Hey, Nick.
How's it going, guys?
Great.
It's going well.
Good to be here.
Great. You guys playing anything?
Nope.
Cool. Well, that was a quick episode. No. I know for a fact, Blake, you are playing things.
Yep, I have been playing things.
How do you know? How do you know he's playing things?
Because we've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've overheard him in the kitchen describing some of his hijinks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not in this kitchen, in the work kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't picked up anything with my concealed microphone in his kitchen yet. Still waiting on that.
Because I live alone, so I don't really talk out loud much.
Heard a lot of singing.
Oh, yeah.
Saveun, playing anything?
No, but I'm interested. I have been playing stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I want to hear about what.
yeah.
Blake's
Well,
been playing.
okay. Well, before we get to Blake, which we'll cover that first, but I do want to hear what you've been playing, and then we'll jump back to that.
Star Wars,
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Which
Fallen Order, Jedi
Oh,
Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Respawn's latest Star Wars game.
Okay.
It's been on my list for a very long time.
Right. Sweet. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Blake.
All right. Yeah, so I'm playing Conan Exiles.
Uh-huh.
Developed
Developed by Funcom.
Yep. I think, Funcom just have... they've made, every Conan game for, the last 15 years, I think.
No, I think so. Maybe 15 years.
Well,
There
the
was-
last
there was
Conan
a
game I played was...
360 one that was not good. It was like sort of a God of War style brawler. It was fine.
yeah.
But yeah, they've
They made
basically had the MMO license.
Yeah, they made the MMO, I remember.
Yep.
I remember playing that, and I was, deeply disappointed with that. I got swindled into that by a tutor at MDS, was talking it up, saying, oh, you can do all these combos, you can decapitate people. It's the first MMO with, a deep story and, voice acting and cutscenes and stuff, and I was like, this is great. And it was just god-awful.
It has problems, certainly. It was very beautiful looking.
At the time,
time.
it really was. It had invisible walls everywhere, though, which I really didn't like.
Yes.
I remember, climbing up a mountain being like, oh, I wonder what's over here. Oh, it's an invisible wall.
Especially in the early area, if I recall.
Yeah. And they had the whole thing with the voice acting, and, it did the, almost BioWare type thing where it's, a cutscene of two characters talking, and, the camera's, flipping over the shoulder back and forth. And that was really cool, except when you left the sort of start area and you went into the next zone, no more voice acting for the rest of the game. They only had enough voice acting for the first, not even quarter of the game. It was basically the tutorial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The island of Tortuga or something, right?
And, I was still into that game up until that point, and when the voice acting disappeared, that was, the first of the downhill. Yeah. And a thing I found, this isn't even the game I'm playing, but this is a game I played over 10 years ago.
Let's talk about it for the next 30 minutes.
The thing that really got me with that is that, you go into the cutscene, so you go up to a quest giver, he's talking to you, there isn't a cutscene, but there are other players around, and your character is still standing there in the real world, and he can just, you can just be attacked. And so, quite often you would come out of a cutscene and you're just dead on the ground because people have just attacked you while you're stuck in a cutscene.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is why you don't play on a PvP server.
Yeah.
Especially for a newish game.
Yep.
The worst case of that ever that I've heard of was, I think, The Matrix Online.
Oh, yeah.
Which had, I think, 3 different... Maybe it was just 2 different fighting systems. But it was you could do Kung Fu, melee.
Gunfu.
And then there was also the shooting.
Oh.
The thing was, when you went to PvP combat in a melee mode, it would be a one-on-one, kind of locked into a brawl thing. But shooting, you could just shoot whoever's fighting.
Oh, man.
and they can't do anything about it. I don't know how that made it through development.
players won't exploit this, right? Nah.
Fine.
They had an interesting thing where devs were NPCs, I think, sometimes.
What?
Yeah, in Matrix Online.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like there'd be a dev role playing as Morpheus.
You just go to turn your quest and he's not there because he's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay.
But yeah, I've been playing
Right.
Conan Exiles.
Yeah.
It's essentially Ark. It's almost entirely the same as Ark. There's base building that's pretty much the same as Ark. There's you're cutting down trees, you're mining rocks.
So resource gathering.
Gathering. There's animals to kill, and you gather their resources. And very similar to Ark. You remember how I was telling you that in Ark you knock out the dinosaurs and then you force feed them to tame them?
Yeah.
You don't do that with the animals in this game, but you do that with the people.
Jeez.
So there's monsters all over the place. There's animals and monsters everywhere, but there's also tribes of people. And what's really cool is that they're kind of like distinctly different from each other. Like there's these guys called the Black Sails who are like piratey guys. And you see on the map when you discover their camp, you actually end up seeing like their territory, and each of these like factions has a capital as well, and their capital shows up as like a different like colored like icon, and so I thought that's really cool. You can like kind of see who owns like sort of what kind of area.
Yep.
But yeah, you can go in there and the NPCs there's sort of there's a array of classes. So there's like fighter, which is, just a fighter. But then there's things like cook, blacksmith, like leather worker, like all these kind of things. And
yeah.
So,
but those are the classes, not just like skills. You can.
Well, they're skills for the human player.
Yeah. Oh,
but
I see.
They're
what you're saying.
NPC classes.
Right.
And so you'll go into their camps and you'll see the cook is at the fire, the blacksmith is at the blacksmith thing. The fighters are all around the perimeter, like guarding. So. What you do is that you can build workstations, just like in every other survival game.
Yeah.
And so you build a blacksmith station and you can blacksmith stuff. But you can also, if you go out into the wild and find a blacksmith in one of these camps, and they have like levels, so there's like level 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find like, there's a level 3 blacksmith in this camp, you go in there, you knock him out, you tie him up, you drag him back to your base. They have this this thing called what is it? It's called the Wheel of Pain. And so you build that and you put them on that, and that is like if you remember on the Conan movie at the very start, Conan is just pushing this like what do you even call it? Like a carousel. I don't even know what you call it. It's almost like it looks like it should be grinding something. It's just you're just pushing this thing around in a circle.
Yeah.
And I remember in the movie it starts off he's a kid and he's pushing this thing, and then it does a montage of him over the years, and he's like growing up, and like this thing is like
pushing this thing.
Pushing, yeah. That's why he's so huge, because he's spent his entire life pushing this thing. But yeah, you put them on this thing, and it's weird that it's like it looks like it should be powering something.
It is,
but it's not
powering the pain.
That's all it is. All it is just a torture thing. Like it powers nothing. It does nothing except like break these people's will. And then so you put them on this thing, and like a little bar fills up for when they're tamed. And then you can take them off that, and then you can like assign them to these stations. So you can assign the blacksmith to the blacksmith station.
Yeah.
And he'll be blacksmithing stuff. And the blacksmiths, all the NPCs, a lot of the NPCs have names. And so like not all say level 3 blacksmiths will be able to make the same stuff.
Right. Okay.
Like if you find a particular named blacksmith, he might make completely different stuff, or allow you to craft different stuff to another named blacksmith.
Right. So who you pick up matters.
Yeah.
Is there a limited number of slots?
There's one slot per like craft station. Right. But you can just build multiple craft stations. It's completely fine. Yeah, and that aspect is really cool, I think, because like
Gotta catch them all.
You kind of gotta catch them all, and like because you can only make certain things with certain people, and you can make some pretty cool gear yourself, but to make the best gear, you've got to find like a good blacksmith out in the wild and take them.
Chad Conan, somewhere out there.
So there's that, and we're playing on a private server. We're not playing.
Who's we?
Me and like no one from work, just some friends.
Okay.
Yeah. Friends that I've played like.
How many people are you playing with?
I think there's 7, but some people have dropped off, so there's more like 4.
Okay.
4 now. There's three of us play pretty regularly.
Were these also ARC players back in the day?
Yep, these are ARC players. The guy that got really into it also got really into ARC.
Okay.
And we were
so
in
he's power gaming Conan?
A little bit. On ARC when we started off, he was so into it that like taming those dinosaurs in ARC on a standard server took hours.
Yeah.
I think he said he spent 14 hours taming a Stegosaurus. And taming, like I told you what taming is.
Yeah, you're feeding.
You're just sitting there making sure nothing attacks the sleeping dinosaur, force feeding it berries for 14 hours. It's like I remember it was like at night. I'm pretty sure it was around 8 or 9 at night. Got a message from this guy, and he's like, "I'm taming a Stegosaurus," and I was like, "All right, cool." And then in the morning, on my way to work, I get a message saying, "The Stegosaurus has been tamed." I was like, "Oh my god, he did that all night."
And you make fun of me for playing idle games.
Yep. I made fun of him for it. It's fine.
Okay. As long as equal.
It was ridiculous.
Equal treatment.
But yeah, that's when we went on to like a different server with like sped up like times. And this server we're playing Conan on is a private server that we're paying for. So there's no other like players in. And at first I thought like, oh, that's kind of a bummer because a lot of what was fun with ARC was dealing with the other players.
Yeah.
But Conan has like they have this purge system that.
Okay.
It's called the purge.
Interesting.
It is.
Word
It
to go
is
with.
just called the purge, and it's kind of what you're imagining, probably.
Oh no.
There's this bar that fills up. So the more you do in the game, like I think it's like the more you build and the more you craft, this thing builds up, and it builds up pretty slowly. But once it reaches the end, it comes up with a timer saying the purge is about to happen, and the purge is just it selects from I think there's 10 different types of enemies that will just spawn near your base and attack you and your base, and it turns into like a waved based combat thing for like I don't know 15 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
And that's bloody cool. Like,
so that's sort of what you're building towards.
Yeah. So the first time it happened, we just got decimated. Like we were not prepared at all. Like we had a wall, but it turns out the wall that we built wasn't a wall. It was just a tall fence. It was like super thin, and they just like busted through it instantly. And we
left the front door open.
What's funny is that we built it really tall, like, and it doesn't actually matter because like.
It sounds exactly like the sort of thing I would have expected.
They just break a hole in it, and then they're in, and it's like, oh, but the tallness.
Don't worry, the really tall guys still can't get in.
Yeah,
they'll hit their heads.
So it was like completely pointless building this giant tall wall. But yeah, they just busted in. They took out like they busted. Like we had a sort of cliffside base, so we had like one wall. And we were at like sort of a cliff with like 2 hills. Yeah. So we had like this wall going from between the hills, and our base was like behind it, with the cliff face as its other sort of like.
You got a natural wall. From
yeah,
the cliff face,
yeah.
Sure.
So we really just had one wall like protecting us. So they could only attack from that direction.
They can't jump down the cliff.
No, they can't jump down the cliff.
Oh, that's good.
And they can't climb up the cliff. Because there's Zelda-like climbing in this game.
Oh, nice.
Which is really, really cool. Ark didn't have that.
Does it feel good to climb stuff?
It does. It's so good. It's exactly like Zelda. You can climb Pretty much anything in the same style as Zelda. You just like jump up to a cliff and you just start climbing.
They sort of wiggle their way up the wall.
Yeah, they just exactly like Zelda. So yeah, there's that.
I'm on board.
Which is really cool. And like, so playing against like on a PvP server, I think would be so much fun because like attacking other castles that your players have built, like you've got so many options. You can just climb up things and like you can find your way around areas that they didn't think that people could get to, kind of thing.
Right.
So then when you're building, you have to really think of like,
how could I attack
defense?
This?
You know, like, but you know, we're not. But on our server, we're just dealing with the purge. So they just like spawn somewhere and then they just attack, almost blindlessly attack. We're not even sure what they like target. I think like.
Well, what did they break?
Well, I mean,
the first time you did this, you said you got decimated. What did
they went for the wall, obviously.
Ooh, a valuable target.
Yeah. They got in there, and then they started. I think they must.
We broke the wall! Hooray!
Yeah, and then they just away. We did it.
We did
no
it.
Walls. Very anti-wall.
Yeah, globalists is what they are.
Yeah, no borders.
Yeah.
But yeah, they then like took out a bunch of like crafting benches. They busted down like the wall to our like inner base and like took out all our beds. So we couldn't.
They just wanted a place to sleep.
Yeah, but when we eventually died to them, we didn't respawn back in base. We respawned way out in the respawn point, which is in a desert, like 15 minutes run away. Like we were off. We were starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big is the world?
It when you first start, it feels very big. It feels huge.
Yeah.
Like from our start point to our first base, it took us hours to get there. But now we're sort of.
Why did you make it so far away?
Well, because it's safe.
It clearly not.
It turned out it wasn't safe. But we thought it was safe. But like the area you start off is just a straight up desert. Like there's almost no resources there.
Yeah.
Like the first time I played, I just died of thirst in the desert.
Fun game.
Yeah. So what you do, like you see on the map, oh, there's a river like north, so you head towards the river, you get some water, you know, and then trees, rocks, you start crafting and whatever. And it took me like several hours to get to where they set up our base through this river. But now I feel like now that we're so much more powerful, we've got more gear, we've leveled up a whole bunch. Like getting from place to place is much quicker.
Yeah.
Like the world feels a lot smaller than it used to, and also we've got horses now, so the world feels way smaller than we used to.
And did you have to break the horses on the wheel?
No, that's a different thing. You kidnap babies. You kidnap. So there's
baby horses.
Yes.
Okay.
I've never seen any baby humans. But
that was a very important qualifying word there.
But so there's there's all these animals in the world, and a lot of them, every once in a while you'll spot little babies of them around. And so you can grab the babies, and then they're in your inventory. and then
you put a baby horse in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, what's even funnier is if you put it down, it's a sack. So the baby horse is in a sack. And you can do the same with people as well.
Oh, okay.
So you can just have people in sacks and put them on the ground, and you're like, there's a person in that sack. But yeah, you take the baby animals and you put them in a animal pen that you craft, that you build.
Yeah.
And then you raise them, you feed them food. There's like, I think it tells you their preferred food.
And 14 hours later.
Less than that.
Okay.
We also sped up the crafting as well on the server because like we don't want to sit around we don't want that arc thing of sitting around for 14 hours. And then like they will eventually grow up, and then you can take them out of the pen, and then they're like a full animal.
Yeah.
And you do that with the horses. You capture a baby horse, put it in the stable, and then you feed it the food, and then you get a horse.
Here's my question. Is there a way to play this game peacefully and still be successful?
What do you mean peacefully?
Like let's say you want a good blacksmither. Can you just be like, work for me?
I do I do wish that there was a thing like that, because there's all those factions around that there's a couple factions that are friendly to you, and you can buy, and they have merchants and you can buy and sell stuff, which is cool. So not everything in the world is hostile to you, but other than those very few places, everything is hostile to you.
Okay.
So the blacksmiths still attack you. When you go into their village, they'll just outright attack you. So, but I do wish, like, because each faction is so they have their own like clothing and styles and stuff, and you can learn to build their things.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish that if you at least say like dressed in their full like crafted gear,
if you tried to meld in with their society,
that you could then talk to them.
Yeah.
That sort of thing would be really cool, and then you could like trade with them and stuff. So you could.
Yeah.
I'd really like to be able to ally with these like random tribes that are out there. But like, as far as I know, they just attack you on sight.
Right. See, I find games that are over the top in their brutality a little silly.
Yeah.
And restrictive in a weird way.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I get that there like, okay, mechanically I understand what the reason for this or whatever, but it doesn't have to be so comically over the top that you're breaking these people on the wheel.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think that's fine. I think it's absolutely fine, but I would also like the option to befriend them, because there's also like at the beginning of the game when you create your character, you choose a religion. Because in Conan, there's a whole bunch of different religions, right? There's like Set and Crom and whatever. And I picked this one called Yog something that sounds very Cthulhu-like, and he's like a cannibal type thing. But there's all these like, I often find these Yog worshippers all around the world. Like they're sort of like their own like faction to themselves. They're just sort of out in little pockets and stuff. And you can tell it's them because they have, you can craft like religious buildings that will...
Oh, and it resembles theirs.
Yeah. And I can clearly see that the religious building that is my religion is out in these like wild camps.
And so you wander over and you're like, hey guys, praise Yog. And you're like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you shouldn't like... At least I think they should start with the religion stuff, to be like, if you're the same religion as these people, they don't attack you. Because I've also found like there was a priest of Set, the snake god, up on a mountain that I could talk to, and he was friendly. And it's like, it seems very random as to who you can talk to and who you can't. There was a camp that I like murdered everyone in, except for one person that didn't attack me. Walked up to them and I could buy stuff for them off.
You want to buy something?
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
Have you seen my friend Jerry?
Yeah, I was just say, okay, you're not okay, cool. So it's a little bit
like
random,
fun,
like that,
but a bit silly and kind of
flawed.
It's
I mean, it's not a perfect game. You know, I mean, it's not like one of your mobile games that you love so much.
It's not Zelda.
Yeah, it's not a Zelda.
Despite the climbing.
Yeah, the climbing, dude. It's great. Once I found out you could climb, it was a game changer. Because you can like early on, and it's perfect too, because like the world is so savage. Early on, like everything can kill you. So
you climb a cliff and just hang out there until they leave.
I like on my way. Like I was saying, it took me hours to get to our base down the river.
Yeah.
Because the reason it took me that is because there's bloody giant alligators everywhere. And
in the desert?
In the river.
Okay.
It's like the Nile. There's rivers in like close to deserts.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me about your desert crocodile.
Yeah, and they'll like chase you, and they could like murder you very, very quickly early on. So what? Basically, my strategy for getting away from anything that scared me is to like climb up a rock and wait for it to go away.
Very brave.
Thank you. I'm still living. So hey.
Speaking of cults, a little update for Animal Crossing fans out there. My village, we're my wife and I are now midway through a project to turn our island into a cult island.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to, over time, give all of our villagers the same catchphrase.
Whoa.
Or some variant of like praise Lagoo.
Oh god.
And they're going to live in a very small compound with uniform houses and uniform gardens surrounded by barbed wire. And my wife and I are going to live in a golden pyramid.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
How do you...
So we'd be giving them all like white uniforms.
Yeah. How do you have to rebuild their houses though?
We have to move them.
Yeah.
We don't have to rebuild them.
Okay. But if they're all living, you said they're all living in the same thing. Are you building that and then...
No, so they'll each have their own house.
Yeah.
But they'll live like in really close quarters.
Right.
With like very similar gardens. And basically the idea is to make them feel quite restricted.
Yeah.
And uniform and identityless.
Right. Okay. And can your character marry all the women? Is that a thing?
No.
Well, it's not much of a cult then, is it? Not a true cult.
It'll feel like a true cult by the time we're done.
Can you hand out Kool-Aid?
Not exactly.
You can make them if you can make them all the same like juice drink, and that's all they drink.
You can make a coconut beverage.
Yeah, maybe like that's it. They only drink that.
Yeah, we can give them all one of those, but it sort of acts as a furniture item, and they just put it in their house. Yeah. But that's our current project.
That's cool.
Yeah. How far through?
How far through the process of turning it into a cult? Mm-hmm. Not that far through. The problem is, a lot of the aspects that are required to really help the cult identity come to fruition are randomized. You don't get to just randomly change someone's, or you don't get to like determine when you change someone's catchphrase, for example. Mm-hmm. They sort of talk to you and give you the option. And that's sort of, I think, randomly done once you're at a certain affection level. Mm-hmm. So we're just kind of waiting for people to do this. And while that's happening, we're giving them all identical clothing and moving the village around and getting it ready.
Does it affect their happiness? Like when you decorate their home? Decorate their home?
Usually they like it. Usually they're like, I mean, because ultimately what we're doing is we're giving them a gift, right? We're like, here, take
Try on this white robe.
Take this white onesie. Yeah. And
giving you a gift.
And they're like, awesome, thanks. Although sometimes if
I'll wear it all the same.
If they've previously given you a white onesie, which has happened, they'll be like, this looks familiar, and they'll feel a little bad about that because it feels like you're re-gifting them something they've given you.
Right. Okay.
But other than that, they're like pretty stoked. So that's our current project. That's all. Other than that, I've been playing Legends of Runeterra.
Oh yeah.
Still enjoying that.
Mm-hmm.
Saveun.
Yeah.
Tell me about Star Wars.
I didn't even want to talk about this game. Like I don't even like talking about games. I thought.
Why? What are you doing here?
I thought did you guys check out the Last of Us stuff that happened that dropped?
No, I'm staying away from it. Dane has said some things have leaked, and I'm like, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
A whole playthrough?
Yeah, the whole playthrough was leaked, and as I understand it, it was because Jonathan had looked into it because he's interested in cybersecurity and whatnot, and he co-owns a game company. So he was following the story, and as I understand it, during lockdown, someone in their QA department had done a playthrough of the game and recorded it, and stored it on a server that was also used to access patching data for players for I guess Uncharted, whatever the most recent one was or whatever. And then hackers realized this and accessed the server and pulled out the playthrough and then posted it online.
Oh, no.
And people were I guess upset about some of the turns the story took.
Yep.
I don't know anything about it. I haven't looked into it too much.
No, I don't want to know.
Yeah,
I guess it turns out they're all dinosaurs. I don't know.
Shit, that would be amazing.
Okay, so Naughty Dog did what'd they do? They showed off 5 minutes of gameplay, just never seen before gameplay, and it was cool. I
you followed it?
Well, I was hoping some of you guys would look into it, but I guess you're not.
No.
Not
When did they show this?
They would have done that like Wednesday.
I'm worried now about like looking for Naughty Dog stuff though, because like Dane was like, "Oh, spoilers
Because of
are
the
just
leaks,
everywhere."
Oh yes,
you know.
yes.
So,
There are spoilers.
yeah, so
all
I'm
over the
sort of
place.
just like staying away from
Mm.
basically anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. You know nothing about it. You haven't seen any of their dev talks about it.
The last thing I saw was last year's E3.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they had the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay. They've got horses in that game.
Spoiler.
They might have baby horses.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yeah, you put them in a sack.
The eagerness with which you said that, Blake, is a little worrying.
Yeah, I guess I could talk about Star Wars.
Well, but you could talk about Last of Us as long as it's...
I really have nothing nothing great to say about it. If what sucks is like I'll just be talking to myself about it basically, and I already know how I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about it?
It looks great. You know, it's a like the first Last of Us, a generation-ending video game. So it shows off, you know,
all of
a
the lessons
console,
learned.
Yeah, a console's like what it can pull off. I always like that about Naughty Dog's games. You can jump in it. That's a big thing.
Holy damn!
Yeah,
game changer.
You couldn't
horses
jump
and you can jump.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Finally, a game with jumping.
Climbing will come in the next one, I think.
Whoa.
You know, they'll have Zelda-like
climbing. Yeah, Zelda-like climbing.
I'm on board now.
What else? They always had like great lighting, I thought.
Yep.
In the last one.
They had like lighting artists, right? Like quite someone whose specialty was really just making.
Yeah, I'm sure they had
lighting.
like a gang of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a linear game, so they bake all that stuff down. It's not as impressive, if you ask me. Like I think the
it's not an open world.
Yeah, if you have like real time GI or whatever, those cool things, I think that's way better. Yeah, let's Star Wars. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll talk about Star Wars.
Sure.
It's very Souls-like.
Really?
And I didn't know that going into it.
Is this Dane's influence on you?
No, it influenced the freaking company. Like Respawn made it has bonfires.
Yeah.
It has that whole thing where like you reveal shortcuts.
Oh yeah.
In
oh, that's cool.
Has a skill tree. Kind of like a Metroid thing, I think, where like you unlock powers as you go through, and then you go back to the same areas. You can now do this puzzle,
right?
That kind of stuff. Yeah, it's really I wasn't expecting it to be that Soulsy.
Right.
Bonfires, got all that stuff.
They're like
a dodge roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Dark Souls difficulty, right? It's not like.
It can be, I think.
Yeah.
I'm playing it on like one of the easier difficulties.
Yeah. That's what I heard with the last God of War game. Someone was like, "Oh, it's just like Dark Souls if you like turn the difficulty to max." But it was so unenjoyable.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to punish myself. Trying to get through a game.
Yeah. Like Dark Souls is such a finely tuned hard game that just being like, oh, if you turn it to maximum, then it's as hard as Dark Souls doesn't. It's not the same.
It's cool in the way like they incorporate some being a Jedi stuff into it, so you can like slow things down.
Nice.
And that is incorporated into puzzles and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Force pushes
cool.
and stuff like that. So that's cool. I always hoped for in a Star Wars game that you could just cut people in half really easy.
Can you?
Some things, not all things. Like you have a high level soldier who has a health bar.
Yeah.
And you have to like whittle away at it.
You gotta slice him several times.
Yeah. I never liked that.
Yeah. How do you how would you get around that though? Because I mean a lightsaber is just a one shot kill weapon.
You'd have like an energy barrier or something.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Kryptonite.
Well, like that's a thing, right? In the Star Wars universe, think about the war on Naboo.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
Yeah, the Rolly droids.
Yeah, and they've got like energy barriers, and like you could be whacking away at that and have it sort of wear down and then break.
But like you can't have every enemy have an energy barrier.
No, but you could also have them like blocking with their lightsabers or some sort of weapon, energy weapons, and you could also have like big. Let's say you've got a big beast or whatever. You could have it be that when you you slice into it, it doesn't cut through, but it does like cut them.
Yeah.
There's ways.
Yeah, I
gotta
think
be creative.
there are ways. They're typically like really art heavy. I'm not sure. I think people, just regular gun wielding people, should just go down. One hit.
Yeah,
I've been watching Clone Wars on Disney, and they're just like one shotting people constantly.
Yeah,
I mean they're almost always droids, right?
Right. Okay.
But still, one slice they just carve through legions of droids like effortlessly.
Yeah, I maybe I'd be cooler with that. And just like if you want to make it difficult, put more of them around you.
Just get swarmed, yeah.
Yeah, so I have to jump around the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm still playing it. I'm like 2 levels in, not too far. They have this one guy in it who's got great hair, like fantastic hair. Yeah, I can't believe.
Are you saying
style?
Yeah, are you saying physics or style?
Like art execution, tech art, like how they pull off hair.
Yeah.
Pretty fantastic.
Like
the
a wig?
hairstyles,
like they just rip it from the front.
the hairstyles, whatever. It's one of those bald tops with the hair around the side.
Right.
It's wickedly long though.
Bald on top.
Bald on
long,
top. He's an alien. He's like a 4-armed alien.
Okay.
With like a
you'd have to be with that haircut, right?
With like male pattern baldness.
Yeah. But wickedly cool hair, man. I couldn't believe how cool the hair was. So that's been a highlight.
What game has had the best hair?
This so far.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, like Naughty Dog games, obviously cool.
Yep.
Final Fantasies are always up there with hair.
Yep.
Are they best? Final Fantasy's best style of hair though, like because they've got the full blown anime hair. Like
Tekken's got some pretty baller hair.
Yeah.
Paul's got that real tall flat top.
Yeah.
Like foot long flat top.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think like technically, I think Final Fantasy for sure.
Okay.
Best hair tech.
Did you get Final Fantasy 7?
No, we talked about this.
Yeah, you did just play the demo though, eh?
Yeah. It was still good.
I didn't even play the demo. You put me off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you were saying
what'd
how
I
they
say
changed
about it?
stuff.
What?
Yeah.
I said that.
Oh, you okay? You put me off, Nick.
Yeah. Well, they've changed the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just it make a remake of the game people love.
Yeah.
And just make that the thing. You don't have to like rework it and like do a twist on it. I think
you know what's weird. I'm so accepting of like developer decisions. I don't even like the Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's cool. I would prefer it to be this other thing. Fine, they can do that.
Sure.
I'll accept it. With Final Fantasy, I'm sure that was discussed.
Oh, I'm sure it was as well.
Yeah.
I think for me, or at least I suspect this is the case for a lot of people. People really loved the story and world of Final Fantasy VII, and that shouldn't have been tampered with very much, if at all. What people probably wanted updated was the graphics and gameplay, which they did great, but then they also went a little hard on these other aspects.
You can't win in this thing. Like, if you didn't change anything, you'd be criticized. Also, I feel
it depends on how you're framing it. If it's Final Fantasy VII, high definition version or whatever. I don't. There's just ways of framing it and meeting people's expectations. I think that there was a backlash to moving against people's expectations in this case.
Subverting.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I don't know. I get the desire; they want to do something new and novel, but people have a very strong emotional attachment to the original.
But how much did they actually change?
Quite a lot.
Okay.
I mean, okay.
Is this just what you've heard though?
Yeah, this is what I've heard.
Because people exaggerate, right? People are like, you killed my childhood. You've changed this one scene that I loved.
If you plan on playing Final Fantasy VII, maybe fast forward a few minutes. I'm going to spoil some things.
All right.
Probably.
All right.
Okay, so there's a character in Barrett's crew, like in I forget what they're called, Shield or what are they called?
I don't remember. But I think I know the guy with the red bandana. That guy.
It's a girl, but yeah,
okay.
she dies early and doesn't die early in this, but still dies.
Yeah.
Much later. The whole game takes place in Midgar.
Yeah.
Which sure, fine.
Wait, the whole game?
The whole game.
Because the whole game doesn't take place in.
Correct. You are functionally they're doing a bunch of different chapters basically.
Oh, okay.
And so,
yeah.
but it's like a 30-hour campaign just in Midgar.
Mm.
There's these ghosts that appear throughout the game, and sometimes they seem to harm you, and sometimes they seem to save you. And it turns out that these are like time ghosts that are trying to keep you on the correct timeline based on the original game's story.
Oh, are they? Okay.
But then they also do something, I guess, at the end of the story that breaks that timeline, freeing them up to do whatever the heck they want.
So
the next
they're
chapters.
treating this not as a remake, but an alternate timeline that is
Yes.
being messed with.
Yes. Which sounds cool, but if you want is a high definition version of Final Fantasy VII, this is not what you're getting.
That is just what people wanted.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
They don't need to. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. They don't need to do this.
Yeah.
They could just do a high, like a beautiful version with good combat and a fleshed out world and voice acting, all this stuff that like modern games have and people love, and they could keep the story the same. The other thing is if you played the original, you might know that Sephiroth doesn't really appear at all for like a really long time. The first trace of him you even see is in the Shinra headquarters just before you leave Midgar. He's like apparently all throughout this. Like they just keep shoving him in places.
I think that's because he's a huge icon now.
Yes, but that is not how you treat a villain.
Yeah,
right.
No, but people. Yeah.
Do people want? You're going to say people want to see Sephiroth? No, they don't.
I was going to say people who have not played the original but know of Final Fantasy and know that Sephiroth is all over that. They're going to play it and be like, "Where was Sephiroth?"
I don't think they would be. If they've never played it, they wouldn't know what to expect. They'd be like, "This is a cool story."
Well, they expect Sephiroth because he's like all over. Like,
no, it'll happen at the end of the campaign, and they'll be like, "Oh shit, it's Sephiroth! What?" And that would be cool.
They
for
will
them.
be like that.
Yeah. So there was backlash based on all these changes, and I fully understand where they're coming from. If I bought the Link's Awakening remake on the Switch, and if a quarter of the way through that game is like, oh look out, it's a different thing now, I'd be like, this is dumb. That's not what I paid for.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'd like to hear sort of post-mortem or something on their thoughts about why they changed it.
I think because I suspect it is a case of we didn't want to just remake Final Fantasy VII, and it's a totally understandable decision as a creative. You want to you want to make something new and interesting and contribute some art to the the world canon or whatever. But that is not what players, I think, wanted.
Yeah. So
it's a hard line to walk, especially because this is for so many people they have such strong emotional memories connected to this thing. It's if you went and remade Jurassic Park or something, and it's halfway through Grant dies or something, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
How would you feel if Final Fantasy only had the old turn-based combat system?
And everything,
not the hybrid thing that they give you the option of playing with.
Me personally, I'd be, I guess, fine with it. I'm not a huge fan of turn-based combat, and that was the first real extensive interactions with it I had ever had.
Yeah.
And I loved it back then, but by now I've played many games with it. But I also remember that one was fairly straightforward in its execution, but interesting in its sort of the way they handled the time bar and some of the materia elements and stuff, some of the setup elements. Those were quite interesting decisions to make. So I'd be fine with it. I would know what to expect, and I would probably breeze through the game because I've played, through it so many times.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Should it be pretty much a 1-to-1? Is like, would you be comfortable with that? Would you be cool with it?
I'd be fine with it. I'd be like I wouldn't be excited by it. I would be. I'm more excited by what they did with the combat for the new version. It's just like tampering with the emotionally resonant elements of the story.
Yeah,
I think was probably a poor decision on their part in terms of what players want.
Well, the combat, right? They give you the option, and I think that's great. But they don't give you the option with the story.
Yeah. I wonder if like it was just a resource scarce thing, and they were like, we could do this optionally, but it was like we don't have the budget for that. Maybe
it almost seems like a New Game Plus thing where you play through the game again, but things are slightly different, and there's weird
that would be cool
ghost things around.
I think the biggest reason why it isn't that is because in the original Final Fantasy VII, you might be out of Midgar in 5 or 10 hours or whatever, and this had to be a full-length game.
Yeah,
but
also it's the first chapter in a
and they want to make a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff, and they want people to be excited, I guess, for the future elements. But I think they probably have had the opposite effect.
Do you think they also changed it just so, in 20 years they can be like, hey, you know what? We're actually going to give you the 1-to-1 event.
Yeah,
the one that you wanted.
Open.
That worked out really well for Star Wars, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe they're like, we're really worried about like messing up this remake.
Yeah.
What if we don't make it a remake?
Oh.
And then we could still come out. Yeah. And be like, the remake is still possible.
There's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that Nintendo has shown there is success to be had and value to be had in just updating and modernizing a classic game. We've seen it in multiple Zelda games, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Link's Awakening. We've seen it in some of the Mario games.
I've also heard with some people talking about Link's Awakening, just how, quality of life things don't exist. It is a little... It really is just 1-to-1.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? They probably could have gone farther with Link's Awakening. Some of the things they could have updated.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of, I prefer that to the other extreme, which is like is not recognizable as Link's Awakening anymore.
Sure. Well, you want to hit the larger beats, right?
Yes.
And yeah, who's to say? Just got like one part into Final Fantasy, how the whole thing will turn out.
Yeah, we don't know. But from what I understand, the story deviations are large enough that like it's
really
probably going to be quite different.
Maybe this is what they always wanted to make. Maybe this is what they couldn't do with the original, and this was the original. This was the original.
Oh,
well, it's a different guy doing.
This is like the Snyder
this.
cut of Final Fantasy.
Dear. The director's cut.
Yeah.
It's a different story guy working on this, as I understand it. So I don't think that's the case.
Well, maybe he's got notes from the original and being like, "Oh my god, this whole all the stuff that was never made in the original game."
What if Sephiroth was a dinosaur the entire time?
We didn't have ghost tech.
Yeah, we didn't have that ghost tech. We couldn't do transparent stuff.
There are some real silly looking gameplay elements they did as well. Like there's I didn't. I've only seen chunks of the gameplay. Full disclosure, but like, okay, have you both played Final Fantasy VII?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you remember the scene where you fall from the destroyed Mako reactor into the church and you meet Aerith.
Yep.
Or Aerith.
Iconic scene.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, that's that. There's a major story deviation there, but one of the things that changed is how you navigate the church.
Yeah.
Like you might remember, you kind of walk up the broken pillars and you kind of work your way out.
Okay.
And in this, they've added this like monkey bar mechanic where you sort of dangle from the roof and you kind of walk your way across with your arms. Yeah. Like you sort of swing your way across these like roof elements.
Yeah.
And they do that in a bunch of different places. Like this is quite a common gameplay mechanic that they use. And it's just kind of like, what are you adding here? It's just kind of like
showing off. That's what it is.
Yeah, but what are you showing off? It's not even like that interesting.
Shoulders are really hard to do. Like,
Okay.
to have them deformed.
They just want to.
Yeah.
They want to show off their good rigging.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Must be it.
Mm.
I know I'd want to see that.
Yep.
It's just that sort of thing is just kind of like why there's obviously a lot of work put into this, and they wanted to put it in a bunch of different places, but why? What does it add? And my argument is probably not much.
Yeah, they might. You might be right.
Yep.
Again, I'm not supporting it, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I definitely don't want to play this game. I played it. I played the demo.
I don't know if there's like a cool motorbike escape scene, which is what happens in the original. If they've added, if that's still there and is fun, then that's cool. I always loved that. Did you guys? That was one of the funnest things about
a motorbike escape scene. What?
when you
It goes into like a cutscene too, I think.
yeah, it's the last thing that happens before you escape Midgar is you are fleeing I guess the Turks on motorbike, and you're like hitting guys with your sword left and right,
man.
and
Yeah.
it's like one of the mini games.
I played this game so long ago that I remember just very few moments.
That game is filled with mini games.
Yeah.
When's the last time you played it?
15 years ago probably.
15. Okay. 2005.
Maybe even earlier than that. I don't know.
I think I played it 2000.
Yeah, same here. And man, I played so much things since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I told you guys it was my first I'm pretty sure it was my first role playing game. Like video game role playing game.
Right.
And I remember seeing a review for it and they were saying this is a role playing game, and I was like, what is that? I've never heard of such a thing. Video games are like Sonic.
Let me ask you, what do you remember most strongly about that game?
I remember I do remember the cutscenes about, I think there was a section of Midgar collapsed.
Yep.
I remember that. I remember when you leave Midgar, there's a shot where you're on a hill, like on some hills or something, looking at sort of the wall of Midgar, and I was like, whoa, man, this is, the whole world just opened up here. This is crazy. I very much remember the blocky hands.
Oh yes.
I remember the blocky art. I remember odd places as well. I remember there was somewhere in Midgar there was an abandoned children's playground.
Yeah.
And monsters that were houses would attack you. I remember that.
Yeah. Yes. That's some real weird enemies.
Yeah.
That what I loved, and this is actually true for almost all of the Final Fantasies that I can think of, at least going up to 7. Monsters were just whatever.
Yeah.
It's just here's a book.
Yeah.
And it has arms and legs and is carrying a dagger, I guess.
It was very much like how Pokemon has turned into.
Pokemon, you can kind of justify there's just all these crazy animals in this region, but think about Cactuar, and Tonberry, and there are these animals that and enemies that are just real weird, and the house with a gun, in its window,
and I remember I remember villages in the mountains or something, going there and that.
Yep.
Oh, and I remember I never actually finished it. I remember when I left, there was a giant kaiju thing slowly making its way towards Midgar.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Ultimate Weapon, I think is what it was called.
And that's the last time I played.
Saveun, what do you remember most strongly?
From Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Cutscenes. What chocobos?
Do you the chocobo racing? Do you remember the
Yeah.
And the breeding?
Not so much breeding.
Never got into chocobo breeding. I didn't know there was.
What?
Yeah, I didn't.
How else are you gonna get Knights of the Round?
I don't remember.
Wow. What a bunch of amateurs.
I know I had it.
Casuals.
I had it, but I think I must have had a friend do that part for me.
Yeah, it was quite time consuming, if I recall. But I remember I spent a long time breeding chocobos and racing chocobos. I spent a long time in the Golden Saucer.
Yeah.
Which was their theme park.
Right.
Had
It's almost like it's full of mobile games.
Well, that's actually one of the things this is why I asked, is because the thing I remember most strongly is that the Golden Saucer had all these fun activities that were mini games that would unlock as you reached them in the main storyline. So like you'd go to the Golden Saucer and there'd be like an arcade and a bunch of people would be playing the games in the arcade and you couldn't play them, but then you'd snowboard down the side of a mountain, and now the snowboarding mini game would be unlocked. And it has a whole bunch of different levels. And you do like the submarine escape thing, and then there's like a submarine battling mini game. And like there was also like the Mog's House mini game, which was like a virtual pet
What?
thing.
Whoa.
Oh man. We've actually seen that die back a lot.
Yeah.
In not just Final Fantasies, but in games in general. It's like games within games.
Yeah.
And that is something that I miss.
Yeah. Did you I remember we talked about this briefly, that you had played a little bit of Gwent.
Yeah.
So there's like the Gwent standalone game, but there's also that Throne Maker or Throne Taker game that is like a campaign Gwent.
Okay.
With like overworld and stuff, and I reckon you should check that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take a look.
You can get a little taste of the Witcher world.
I've been reading the books.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I've got more than a taste. I've got a mouthful.
So talking about, man. Okay.
What? How do you read books?
I listen.
Oh, okay. So you got an earful.
Yeah, I got an earful. Got a real earful. Speaking of books, playing this Conan, I bought all the Conan books on Audible.
Okay.
Turns out I didn't know this. They're all actually short stories. They're not like full novels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have known that.
And I
think, weren't they comics originally?
They were for a magazine called Weird Tales.
Yeah.
And something also I didn't know is that they're really old. Like,
yes,
they were from
old.
the 30s.
Yeah. Yep. And leaned on Lovecraft quite a lot.
Yeah. He was there was like a little biography a little bit at the start of the first book, and he was like pen pals with Lovecraft. He was part of what they called the Lovecraft Circle. That was just like a bunch of like authors who all
love Lovecraft,
liked Lovecraft, and just became like good correspondent friends with them.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys got anything else you wanted to say?
Let me think.
The answer is no. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Go ahead, Blake.
No, I don't.
All right. I want to read a couple responses we got from.
Oh yeah.
From listeners. By the way, we love getting responses from you guys. We love hearing from you guys. So if you want to contact us, frontseatquestions@gmail.com or tweet at us at frontseatcast. Facebook.com/frontseatcast is our Facebook page. Frontseatgamer.wordpress.com. You can leave comments on there. YouTube.com/frontseatcast. Subscribe and comment. And we're also on Spotify and stuff like that. But this is from Fuwasan. I think the procedural animation thing is great to characterize a game's characters with a small amount of customization. Imagine a very germaphobe character that goes out of their way to avoid touching walls, or one very tall character that always touches the top of the door frame to not bump into it, or a huge pervert that keeps groping other passing characters. I agree if it's used sparingly, and this is what I always come back to: is it's never used sparingly, and it's always done in a way that makes no sense.
I feel like you're the germaphobe.
What?
Yeah, you just don't touch. You're talking about like
I touch things. I just don't touch
your
walls I'm not
massive,
looking at.
Your massive
especially
problem,
in places I've never been to.
Yeah, your massive problem about touching stuff. I feel like that scene where in the demo where she's like crawling through the passage. I think you would be like absolutely trying to not touch all the sides. In the
hey,
most,
you know what? I probably would be, and that would be to preserve the ruins.
Yep.
You got oils in your hands, man. It
Sure.
damages stuff.
Yep.
This is from Ignis Potius. He says, I touch everything all the time, especially when taking walks in the forest or going through the doors like that. I like feeling the texture of the stone, the bark of a tree, the roughness or the smoothness of the leaves. That part where the lady put her hand on doors felt absolutely normal to me. I'm sorry, Ignis. Do you just not look at the things that you touch? It's fine to touch things. My issue is not with the touching. My issue is with the touching things you haven't looked at.
I don't know why you don't think she looked at them.
Because I've seen the video.
People do not, people can look with their eyes. They don't have to turn their entire head.
Is that how they do it?
Stare at a thing and then touch it.
No. Okay. I saw it. She was preoccupied with something.
She saw it earlier.
No.
She didn't just
not where she put her hand, especially in a ruin that's like filled with skittering bugs. No, thank you.
This is the Aussie phobia coming in here. Spiders and snakes all over the place.
Yeah, when you're in a place that you've never been before and you see skittering bugs, you don't just stick your hand wherever. Do you go? Okay, when you go into a bar or a restaurant, do you stick your hand on the table?
Yeah.
And do you feel around on the underside of the table?
Oh, you mean under the table?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, why is that?
Well, only when I put gum there.
You're a monster, Blake. An absolute monster. All right, that's all we have time for. We'll be back.
You didn't want to read the triangles?
Oh, is there another one? Okay. All right, I'll read this.
It's a bit long.
Oh.
I think it's up the top.
It's not. I see. I found it. We did get a response about this. It is quite long. But basically, when I asked about why we use triangles and not squares or other polygons.
Oh, yeah, okay. Polygons.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The reason, as I discovered after someone sent me, I started getting a bunch of messages from people, by the way, and then we got more messages,
angry messages, just furious.
Yes, and then, yeah. Anyway, turns out it's a very simple explanation, and it's when you've got a 3-pointed shape, it's always going to be flat, and if you add another point, there's no guarantee it's going to be flat. And rendering a curve is much harder than rendering a flat surface, especially in a simplified pipeline. Very logical, very straightforward, makes a lot of sense. Thank you for everybody who reached out to tell me that / call me an idiot. Saveun.
Did I call you an idiot?
No, but I know you were thinking it.
I thought the responses Blake and I gave you were sufficient. So going around that was annoying.
Nobody at any point mentioned that for any shape with more than 3 points could be a curve.
That's true.
Or twisted or anything.
Again, I'm going to go back to the first point, which is, to create a surface.
Yeah.
The minimum amount of points is 3.
Yes, that was never in question.
But that should be enough.
No, because if you add another point, it's still a surface. Anyway, we've covered this now. We've got our answer.
Arguing about?
And I'm very, very pleased. Thank you guys. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
What about NURBS though?
We'll be back in a couple weeks.
Man, there's some good stuff.
Bye.
Find something.
Oh,
I'll just get a clip of you saying I love weed.
I did not say I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. Almost fell for that. But now you've got a clip of.
I might. We'll see.
Oh, you've got yourself saying.
Yeah.
I do put myself in the intro sometimes.
No, you don't.
I do sometimes.
No, I don't think so.
I almost never get you in the intro though. You're too.
Me?
Yeah, you're too smart with.
Does that mean it's almost always me?
Yeah, you put the mic down. I'm like, damn it.
Does that mean it's almost always me?
It is. I don't know what I think the ratio would be like. 80% you. Oh God. Probably like. Oh, I don't know. You'd be like 5%, if that. Like I reckon I could count on 2 hands the amount of times that you've been in the intro.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Just
Saveun, say something controversial. What's your stance on immigrants?
Oh shit!
Them immigrants.
Should we build a wall?
Build a fucking wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put the microphone up to your mouth. God damn it! All right, let's get this started. You guys ready?
Yep.